CTV News with Carlisle Fizette.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We're a little more than 24 hours from President Donald Trump's social media announcement indicating a pause for his 50% tariffs. And at this point, it's still unclear what both sides have specifically agreed to. With the latest from Washington, here's Mike Lucatour.
After an intense week of negotiations, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister and his American counterpart emerged shoulder to shoulder, happy with the tentative deal they've reached.
We've reached an agreement that will not only continue to protect American workers, American jobs, American supply chains, but really strengthen the North American economy and create a situation where North America will continue to be an energy powerhouse.
Three sources tell CTV News there are reductions in the Section 232 tariffs on the table as part of the agreement. Those would affect industries like steel and aluminum.
We may bring some of the tariffs down to a level where other countries are, because Canada was paying a higher tariff.
U.S. President Donald Trump has long complained about American access to Canada's supply-managed dairy sector. And he's claiming there is a deal on that, too.
The tariffs will be non-existent for our farmers. Our farmers were paying tremendous tariffs into Canada, and those tariffs are going to be totally eviscerated, down to zero.
LeBlanc tried to reassure reporters that the decades-old system isn't disappearing.
The Prime Minister was very clear. We needed to protect supply management. We needed to ensure that the supply management regime remained entirely intact. And I'm confident that that's the case.
On social media, Prime Minister Mark Carney stated this agreement is, quote, securing the best terms in each of Canada's most important strategic sectors and providing greater certainty about our future trading relationship. A source with knowledge of the talks tells CTV News there is now a clearer path to the renegotiation of CUSMA, where other issues could be finalized. After returning to Ottawa, LeBlanc joined Carney to brief both Cabinet and the premiers about the talks. And a key American irritant was addressed.
The Prime Minister has asked us as premiers, as provinces, to return the U.S. alcohol to the shelves, so we'll work through that process.
With the new deadline now just 2 days away, Canada's lead trade negotiator, Janice Charette, will remain in Washington to continue talks until the deal is officially done. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Washington.
London police closed down a section of Oxford Street in the city's northeast tonight. This was the scene near the railway crossing at Oxford and Clark. Police had posted on social media saying they were responding to a crash, telling people to avoid the area. No other details on the circumstances have been provided. Provincial police announced the results of a major drug investigation today, charging multiple suspects and saying they've seized more than $1 million worth of narcotics, weapons, and vehicles. With more, here's Rita Ismail.
A months-long investigation into drug trafficking has led to 3 arrests and the seizure of an estimated $1.2 million. Police say Project Break began in April after investigators identified suspected drug trafficking on Walpole Island First Nation. The investigation centered on a man from London who police say was trafficking drugs throughout the Lambton and Chatham-Kent regions. 3 London residents were arrested on July 17th. 2 of the men remain in custody while the third has been released on bail.
CSCUs use intelligence-led policing to target those responsible for causing the greatest harm in our communities. This investigation is an excellent example of that.
Superintendent Bradford says what started as intelligence gathered by OPP's Community Street Crime Unit developed into a complex multi-jurisdictional investigation involving officers from across the West region, specialized provincial resources, and partner agencies.
Long before this investigation began, representatives from the OPP Lambton Detachment Command, the Walpole Island Police Service, Chief and Counsel, and the Civil Authority identified community safety concerns and the harmful impacts of illegal drugs as key priorities. Through collaboration and a shared vision, these concerns were transformed into action.
Police say the investigation resulted in a substantial seizure of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, along with loaded illegal handguns, 5 stolen vehicles, and about $20,000 in cash, a total street value of approximately $1.2 million.
For our community, this is much more than the seizure of illegal drugs or the number of arrests. It is about protecting people, our community, our families, especially our children and our youth and our vulnerable. The opportunity to grow up in a safe and healthy environment is important for everyone.
The origin of the fentanyl remains under investigation, but police say they have determined the drugs were intended for domestic distribution and were not being exported outside Canada. Police are calling the investigation a significant disruption to alleged drug trafficking in southwestern Ontario. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Several Ontario education unions are without a contract right now, with students set to return to class in just a few weeks. With more on what that could mean for the new school year, here's Siobhan Morris.
With the return of school routine creeping closer, it's becoming clear that none of Ontario's education unions will have a contract in place in time for the first bell.
Something that I did this summer.
Existing deals expire at the end of August. Negotiations are stuck working out how they'll be organized, waiting for the Labour Relations Board to weigh in.
We're not even arguing about how these issues are going to ultimately be resolved. We're arguing about where we're allowed to bargain them in the first place.
Teachers' unions say that list of issues is long, boiling down to being asked to do more with less.
It is the student waiting longer for help. It's fewer adults in the school. It's heavier workloads. It's good unionized jobs disappearing from communities.
The Minister of Education unavailable for an interview today, but writes in a statement that bargaining is at an early stage. He has expressed optimism for reaching a deal.
I want the absolute best for teachers, and I want a fair deal for taxpayers. And I think we're going to get there. There'll be some tough negotiations, obviously. But they're always tough.
Any work stoppage or other workplace action by teachers would be way down the road. But public elementary teachers will vote on the possibility of a strike this fall.
We're hoping that if we do engage in the strike vote process, that process does pressure the government to say our members are serious.
Unions are bracing for a barrage of government ads. CTV News has obtained a script from one potential ad that was being prepared last month, targeting sick days, proposing notes be required.
That's a distraction intended to move us away from talking about the real issues impacting our schools.
Paul Calandra emphasizes that teachers' unions have been running their own ads for more than a year and says the government has a responsibility to address inconsistent attendance.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A touring protest stopped in London today, speaking out against the federal gas tax. Officials with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation want the federal government to extend the gas tax pause beyond its current expiration date at the end of September. The 10-cent per litre tax was suspended in April after conflict in the Strait of Hormuz sent prices soaring.
Those savings are about to be eroded away on September 8th. And this is a really important issue for families in Canada. I mean, the average a family who has a minivan and fills it up once a week, they save about $400 a year by not paying the gas tax.
Officials with Loblaw say they've changed how they label certain products, which some shoppers say is making it harder to tell where their fruits and vegetables are coming from. With more on the change and customer reaction, here's Kevin Chirac.
This Loblaw-owned grocery store in downtown Vancouver has a large sign proudly touting thousands of Canadian products. But in the produce aisle, finding out where fruits and vegetables come from isn't always so easy. Display signage offering few details. For many items, the only clue to where they came from was the small sticker attached to the produce.
I personally don't understand why they would even want to do that, because it could cause people to not want to shop there.
Loblaw confirmed to CTV News it has changed how country of origin information is displayed in its fresh produce aisles, telling CTV News because produce sourcing can change frequently due to seasonality, supplier changes, and availability, we now direct customers to the most current supplier-provided country of origin information available on product labels, stickers, packaging, or accompanying case labels. Just a few blocks away at this Safeway, a different approach. Buy BC, Buy Canadian, and country of origin signage is easy to spot throughout the produce aisle. Customers we spoke with say as tensions increase between Canada and the U.S., they're paying closer attention to where their food comes from.
It's important to me now because of all these tariffs he's planning to put on us.
It's very important for me and for all the people because you should buy products that are locally produced.
I like to support Canadian as much as I can under the current situation with the tariffs and so on and so forth.
And with Trump threatening tariffs that could impact Canadian food producers, one researcher believes the Buy Canadian movement may gain even more momentum.
That would give consumers pause and a strong reason to support Canadian companies.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency tells CTV News there is no federal requirement for grocery stores to identify a product's country of origin on shelf tags or other store signage. Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Vancouver.
We are days away from Airshow London taking off, and preparations are well underway. Leading the way, one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world. With more, here's Lauren Stallone.
The 11th annual Airshow London kicks off this Friday with some of the world's top pilots touching down in the Forest City.
I was first inspired to aviation when I was 16 years old, watching the F-22 demonstration in a small town of St. Cloud, Minnesota. After that, I chased all my ratings to become an Air Force fighter pilot and was fortunate enough to become an F-22 pilot.
Nick Letourneau, also known as Laz, is the demo pilot of the United States Air Force F-22 Raptor.
The F-22 is the world's premier air dominance fifth-generation fighter. It was the first of its type in the world. And it's about call it 3-year process from the time you start flying airplanes in order to get in the cockpit of an F-22. From there, it's about 7 months of training at our formal training unit at Langley Air Force Base.
Laz says he's excited to be back in London to perform at the air show.
And it really goes back to that start for me, the spark for aviation that got me into flying in the first place. Being able to come up to London and hopefully share that same spark with all the kids and adults alike to not just maybe go into aviation, but also chase after something that they're passionate about. And I can't think of a better place to come than London to do that.
Located at London International Airport, the air show features air displays, ground displays, and local vendors.
You're going to see loud, you're going to see fast, you're going to see big, you're going to see small. We've got it all covered.
Organizers say the show takes about 2 years to plan.
It's a lot of work and a lot of prep, but as you can see, the reward is really amazing when it finally gets here.
Visitors can explore over 20 aircraft on the tarmac and get to know pilots like Laz.
I'm just excited to be back up here for both the local fair as well as the people.
You can join CTV live from London International Airport for the Airshow London SkyDrive 2026 pre-show on Friday, August 21st from 2:30 to 3. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
An ownership change is on the way for the St. Thomas Dragway, with more on the new owners retaking control. Here's Brent Lale.
What's old is new again at the St. Thomas Dragway.
Like the atmosphere here, it's people friendly. It's a great place to be.
The Fletcher family, who owned the quarter-mile track in the 1990s, has purchased it from the Spreet family, who've owned it for the past 6 years.
The timing was right. Our family had been talking about succession planning already. And so when they approached us, we were ecstatic to be able to pass it along to a family who we know is going to take this facility to another level. We worked really hard on trying to bring it back into what it was, but it needs a little bit more, and the Fletchers are going to be a great family to do that.
We all worked here, every one of us, my daughter, my wife, everybody's worked here many, many years, so we're used to this property for sure.
The Fletchers are notable in drag racing across North North America. They plan to rename the track London Motorsports Park like it was during their previous regime. The Fletchers have multiple ideas on how to restore this track to its original glory, but adding a modern feel.
I'm not saying John Force specifically, but there'll be some big shows. We're going to probably bring some nitro cars up here at one point. And we're going to put some concrete out here, make the track a little better surface, refinish the other end. We're going to put new guardrail in here on the starting line, get that stuff done. Some digital scoreboards at the other end, so that'll help the spectator experience so they can see what's going on, maybe some replays, some neat stuff. They'll be able to figure out what's actually happened on each run. So neat things for the spectators.
Jarrett Spree will be moving to Grand Bend Motorplex, taking over for his father Paul, who is stepping back from operations. He's excited about putting his own spin on that track while handing over the keys to this one.
This is the oldest purpose-built drag strip in the country. It's got a really cool old-school feel, and I know the Fletchers like that aspect of it, and they're going to nurture it while at the same time bring it into that next era.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
When we come back, American booze likely going back on the shelf. What to expect at the LCBO if this trade deal gets finalized. The deferral of American tariffs boosted stocks on both sides of the border today. In Toronto, the TSX gained 34 points. In New York, the Dow added 120, the Nasdaq up 41. The Canadian dollar gained a third of a cent today. On commodity markets, gold added almost $125 an ounce. Oil is up 33 cents a barrel. It appears it may just be a matter of time now before American alcohol returns to Canadian shelves. With the Prime Minister requesting premiers now overturn their bans, the question now becomes, will Canadians want to buy? With more, here's Mike Walker.
American alcohol might end up back on store shelves amid a tentative trade deal with the U.S., but many consumers say the ongoing trade war and its tariffs has left them with a bad taste.
We'll stick with Canadian products, thanks. We've changed our shopping habits and we're going to keep that up.
Others say they've adapted.
We found it no challenge really to move on from American red wines to Australia and then South American red wines.
American alcohol has been a bargaining chip in trade talks with boycotts in place in all but 2 provinces. The U.S. alcohol industry is hoping relations can return to normal.
73% of our exports. Historically, the United States exports about $220 million worth of American spirits to Canada, and that's all but been shattered.
But acknowledges there's no guarantee that Canadians will buy U.S. booze again. In fact, if American alcohol returns to shelves, a recent poll from Nanos Research for CTV News found 74% of Canadians are unlikely to buy it.
I don't think I'd go back to Kentucky bourbon. I'm quite happy with Crown Royal so long as they bottle it in Canada.
I like California wines, and I want Ford to put it back. I like the California wines. I miss them.
Marketing experts suggest dedicated consumers will rejoice not to cross-border shop for U.S.-made beer, wine, and spirits, but say it will take significant time for American brands to rebuild popularity in the Canadian marketplace.
Because people do develop habits, and those habits tend to have some degree of stability over time.
Ontario cleared and boxed up American products from LCBO shelves in early March 2025 in retaliation to sweeping U.S. tariffs imposed on Canadian goods. Premier Doug Ford stated last week the ban could be lifted if there is a fair deal that protects Canadian industries.
Before anything happens, we protect our auto sector, our steel sector, our agricultural sector, our forestry sector.
Looking at the bigger picture, many consumers still leery.
I don't trust anything Trump says. I never have.
If this is in fact a done deal. Mike Walker, CTV News.
Good evening. I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. We're in a bit of a lull, the pattern shift with lots of drier air in behind the cold front that advanced right across the region, but worse weather stayed stateside or through Quebec in the Maritimes with some steady rains. The good news is that we are relatively fair for at least the next 24, maybe even 48 hours. I'm not anticipating a lot of activity, but temperatures could be cooling down significantly over the next, say, 3 to 5 days. So break down what you need to know. The complete weather story is coming up right here in moments on CTV News.
Welcome back. Gary Archibald with me again tonight. And Gary, I know we've got some cooler temperatures in the forecast. I think me, along with many viewers, I'm sure want to know, is this it for summer already?
No, not just yet, Carlisle. I promise you, my friend, that we'll see some temperatures slightly above seasonal, perhaps towards the end of next week. But over the next 3 to 5 days, we will see a bit of a dip. Average temperature for today, August 19th, in the great city of London, Ontario, is 25 degrees. We were 1 degree above that mark. The low is normally around 14. And we were about 18 this morning. Not much to see across the Great Lakes. Big spin of low pressure. The core, it's massive, is over Hudson Bay, James Bay territory. But the cold front attached to it has already swept through the lower Great Lakes. That's why we're not really seeing much in terms of returns here across, well, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, Lake Huron. But some cooler areas in behind it. There is a disturbance that's tracking just south, if not clipping, the south shores of Lake Erie. If it stays to the south of Lake Erie, then we won't get hit hard by significant showers and thunderstorms. That area, parts of Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, has just been drenched, flooding, and there have been some major casualties, even fatalities. So it's been a very serious situation. We are very blessed it has not been the case where this area of low pressure or series of low pressure systems have moved through southern Ontario. Not much rain to speak of. If we do see a scattered shower between midnight and early tomorrow morning, it's very light. And temperatures, speaking of cooling off, will get down as low as 11 degrees, as warm as about 18 or 19. Long Point stands out. Windsor, Coolin, Wyerton, Goderich, Mount Forest, and Barrie, Ontario. Here's the breakdown for tomorrow. Mostly cloudy, but some peaks of sunshine. I think that's the story for the morning through the midday and afternoon. 16 degrees at 8 a.m. That's coolish, but seasonal for that time of day. Up to 23 during the noon hour. Light breeze through the afternoon, going to a high of about 25. High UV, despite the cloudiness, so protect exposed skin with your sunblock. Sunny on Friday, use it again, of course, and 27. There's a nice bump. But note the weekend. Cloudy, showery, in particular Saturday. Still cloudy and potentially showery on Sunday, and cooler, down to 22 and low 20s. There's your cool air mass staying in place for Monday through to Wednesday. Similar look for the Midwest. We're still around the seasonal mark the next couple of days, around 23 to 24 degrees. Friday is sunny and warm. Then it's warm and wet for Saturday, Sunday, and cooler. 20 degrees on Sunday. And look at the lows, by the way. Even Friday morning could get down to 8. Next week, this time, 21 and 14. The high and low temperature with some rain showers likely. That's a look at your weather.
Thank you, Gary. Members of a rock band formed by Western University classmates are getting back together for a one-night benefit concert honoring a late band member. With more on the event and the cause they're supporting, here's Nick Paparella.
Crush was a band formed by engineering students at Western University, which played at area venues until the tragic death of its bass player 1 year ago. Following a skateboarding accident, Riley Sorovicek passed away after suffering a traumatic brain injury.
I miss reminiscing about our memories.
Rory Osborne was a band member and classmate of Riley's at Western.
Just the easiest guy to get along with. He was a person that could always put you in a good mood. He saw the good in everything and everyone. And on stage, he was an electric stage presence.
Joey Hodes was also part of the band and a friend of Riley's.
Smile on his face, always happy, always down to participate.
Since the tragic death, the band no longer performs regularly, but they are getting back together to raise money for the Kidney Foundation with a benefit concert called Crush for Riley at the London Music Hall on Saturday, September 5th.
The Kidney Foundation is a really important charity to Riley's family. Riley's mother received a kidney from Riley's father, as well as Riley's uncle also received a kidney. And at the time of Riley's death, 5 of his organs saved 5 different lives. So it just made a lot of sense to partner with them.
They are hoping to raise more than $20,000. Tickets to the benefit concert are available by going to the London Music Hall website or the Crush Instagram page. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Finally tonight, the mission to save a lighthouse near Port Elgin. It stood on the shores of Lake Huron for nearly 150 years. Scott Miller has more on the local residents who want to keep it there.
Carol Wahlberg says it's now or never to save a piece of Lake Huron's maritime history.
The options are fix it or let it fall down because it's really in bad repair.
Wahlberg is leading the charge to restore the McNabb Point Lighthouse to its original form. Built in 1877, the lighthouse helped boaters navigate the Lake Huron shoreline and Southampton River up until the mid-1990s when it was decommissioned. Following a 2006 exterior restoration, it's sat undisturbed since, slowly deteriorating.
They took the cedar siding off of it, and that was the Coast Guard, and they covered it with aluminum. And it looked pretty, but it rotted from the inside out. And now the back corner is really disintegrating, and it's caving in up at the top. And it just really needs to be restored before it's too late.
The local Marine Heritage Society says an engineering report from 2024 said the lighthouse was unsafe to enter and recommended demolition. The town, who owns the lighthouse and the land it sits on, says they hope to have a plan for the lighthouse by the end of this year. Securing permanent access to the site is key, they say, as the lighthouse isn't accessible without crossing private property. But those homeowners want to see the lighthouse restored as much as Wahlberg does.
We bought this property largely because we really like the lighthouse. I mean, for anybody who respects history and the town's background, this is a big part of it.
Wahlberg says estimates to restore the lighthouse have ranged from $60,000 to $150,000 over the years. She says a decision needs to be made soon because time is ticking on the 149-year-old structure that once guided boats to shore between Port Elgin and Southampton.
I just think it's part of the history, and it's gone for good.
Near Port Elgin, Scott Miller, CTV News.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlisle Fizette. Have a good night.